Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins
And what's happening? Welcome to Random Thoughts with DVP. I ain't there, Roy. I don't see the link.
Keep going. I got you.
So, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Nah, actually, just normally pops up here. I am DVP. There you go. Robert, I need y'all to go to the Random Thought page because I'm gonna kill these pages in a minute. I'm just letting the new people get to know who I am. Oh, can y'all hear me now? We got a lot of stuff going on, and as usual, I got a bunch of inbox about what's going on with police and stuff. I promise y'all I'm gonna talk about it. I'm just not gonna talk about it right now. I need to get some more facts because I want to give you some viable options, some viable solutions, and we're gonna have the uncomfortable conversation, and we're gonna give out some uncomfortable answers. So don't think I'm remiss. I promise you I'm gonna get to it. I just need to watch a couple of videotapes and just do a little couple investigations. But as always, today is the 27th of May.
There you go.
2020. It is 6:01. So guess what? I'm on time, y'all. I don't want to hear nothing about it. Can I get some more of my juice, please? Today what we're gonna do is what we're gonna talk about. I got a couple of special guests, and we're gonna discuss: do women make it easy for men to cheat? So, is it? Nah, just juice. Nah, that's why I kept on it there. Hey, Melinda. But we're gonna get into that conversation. How y'all doing? It's a lot that's been going on. We're gonna stay focused, but we're gonna have a good time. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be your CNN in the middle of the day. So we're gonna there's shows we're gonna have a good time. There's shows we're gonna be extremely serious. There's shows where we're gonna do what the plan was, and this was already the plan. What's up, Derek? What's up, Jalissa? It's good to see people are engaged and interactive. So here we go. Let's just start my monologue. It's May. We are voting in November. We've been knowing this for 4 years that we were going to vote in November. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. What is too late to do now is start trying to change the game. We knew who it is and what it is we didn't like. You can't sit back and wait till the last minute and start trying to make changes. Once it's time for dinner and somebody's at the oven, you can't start throwing a bunch of ingredients in it. You got to go with what you got now. We got to get past the point of being so sensitive about everything and letting cognitive dissonance not let us see what's real or what's not real. Nobody is ever going to be perfect. Ever going to be perfect for us. It's just not going to happen. I talked about this before. Stick with 80-20 rule, even with our politicians. 80-20. Let's get 80% of what it is we think we need or want and go from there. Roy made a post, and we talked briefly about it. Roy wants Biden to do something. I'm all in accordance with that. But what I'm not, oh my God. What I'm not, no, can you kill that one? That one is too bright. Yeah, but I stopped cutting it on because those were doing it. Shit, I forgot where I was. Oh, Roy had said something, and with all the elections that we got, why should we be talking to the president? That's what our elected officials, our locally elected officials, should be doing. Our council people, our mayors, our what other local position do we have, Roy, other than councilman?
I mean, it's different names in different places. Some people call them aldermen.
Aldermans,
yeah.
Whatever it is you got. These are the people that we need to be holding. We need to be holding the fire to these people because these are the people that normally we have direct access to. These are the people that churches bring in to tell us to vote for. So when we need something, where are these same people who want our vote so much? Where are these same leaders who are telling us, hey, this person is looking out for us? When do we start holding them to the fire? We can't keep just thinking. Very few of us can go to the president of GE or General Motors and express our views. We got line people that we go to, and they do that. When are we going to start holding these people accountable? Everybody's frustrated. Everybody is upset. Everybody wants to see change. But who is your agent of change? Who is your true agent of change? It's for most of us, it's not the president. We can't call him. We can't stop by his house. We can't just drop him an email that he gonna answer. You know, it's cute when we get the what do you call those things? The petitions, but most of those petitions, they just make they're feel good pieces of paper. They don't do a whole lot, because we still have to go through the separate parties to move up the ladder. We can't just sit there. Very few of us can post something and get a celebrity to jump on their status and use their status to get us up the ladder quicker. But most of us have the power to vote. Most of us have the power to reach out to somebody who's local. All of us have the power to talk or get a meeting scheduled with the police chief, their representatives, our council people. Most of those people are readily easy because they're local. Why ain't we holding them to a different standard? Why ain't we pushing the envelope on them and making them? Why did you vote for them? What did they say that was so intriguing to you that your voice no longer matters if they're not doing what you asked them to do? How come our council people ain't taking things to the president, to the House, to the Senate to be voted on, so that we don't have to? What was the one you did, Roy, about voting?
Well, let's see. Well,
Biden did something where we ain't got to vote on it for the next 10 years or something.
No, the Voting Rights Act. He and the reason I picked that particular point was that when the initial thing came out with him and Charlemagne, he was like, "Hey, I extended the Voting Rights Act for 25 years," and I'm like, "Dude, that ain't nothing special. How about you do something or write some legislation?" Well, let me get a full context. Hold on. Let me get a full context of what you were talking about. My point was, my whole thing was after that whole exchange with Charlemagne, I said that the reality is he still didn't answer Charlemagne's question about what is he going to do. Now Joe Biden has come out on record saying that in his first 100 days, he is going to re-sign an executive order for the LGBTQ rights that were created under Obama that Trump rescinded. So he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do that in my first 100 days." So my thing was, okay, you know what? Since you said that about the LGBT community, I need you to do something for black people that you can do in your first 100 days that are very easy. And I said, I'm gonna make it easy for you. You do an executive order that says we are going to make the Voting Rights Act of 1965 perpetual and not have to be renewed every 25 years or every 15 years or whatever it was, because now I guess they extended it out longer. I believe it was like 15 or so years that it was before, but no, it was probably about 25, whatever it was. But I said we shouldn't have to come back to y'all every 25 years to make sure we keep the right to vote. Why that can't be made perpetual? So you tell me you gonna do that in your first 100 days, and that's specifically because we know that's specific. It was made specific to black people, but it will also trickle down to other folks. So we can, when black people get helped, everybody in the country gonna get helped. That's just the reality of it. And so I was saying that that's what he needs to do. Give me something that's gonna be specific that you say, okay, you know what? In the first 100 days, boom, we gonna do this for black people. It's easy. It's something that can't nobody argue it. And then I made the point, because I know politics, before somebody said, hey, if I said, what did I say? That if they say, well, that's overstepping the executive order powers of the president. I said, no problem. I'm pretty sure that we can get Val Demings to write some legislation to make the Voting Rights Act perpetual and not have to be renewed, so that black people keep the right to vote. And when she does that, if everybody in Congress don't vote for that, we gonna have some real problems. And we'll know. All you got to do is sign it at that point. So that's the thing.
All right, so and that's the point. We got people who we have elected, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So we gotta we gotta do a better job of getting these people who we elect to speak up for us. Other than that, we're pissing in the wind, and we want somebody else to do something that we have the power to do, and we gotta stop waiting for somebody else to do something. If we've elected them, hired them, voted for them, or whatever, and then we don't require anything out of them, but we want something from another house. I want Roy to keep his house clean while I keep mine messy. I'm going to hold him to a standard. Roy's not representing me, and we got to do better about this. It's great. It is great that we're getting upset, but understand, when fighting starts, the easiest person to beat is the one who's mad, because you're fighting off emotion and you're losing sense of logic. The analogy I gave Roy earlier, when we think of the greatest boxer of all time, for most of us, it is Muhammad Ali, who was not known for his knockout power. So that wasn't how he got things done, by just going for the knockout. Muhammad Ali was built for 15 rounds. Mike Tyson, who was probably the greatest knockout artist that we've seen, couldn't handle boxers. All he had to do was just keep letting him swing away, and he would tire himself out. When we get upset and frustrated and we mad and we want to do this, the system waits us out for 3 to 6 weeks, and we get tired and move on. And we get frustrated because we blame the system for not doing anything for us, but we don't ever blame us for picking people who run the system. We don't blame our churches for giving us bogus leadership. We don't blame our council people for not doing what we voted for them to do. It's time to vote again. Who is it that you're voting for, and why? What do they really do? What are they taking, as Roy said, what are they taking to DC? What are they taking out of this state to make us better? What are they taking? What are they taking that we want to get done? What are they taking as far as the brutality goes? What are they taking as far as racism goes? What are they taking to make hate crimes a universal thing, and not in some states and not in other states? Are some states so full of love they don't have any hate crimes? That makes no sense. But what we got to do is we got to stop sitting back and not naming. And this is something I want to talk about, but I ain't going to talk about a lot today because I got another show to do. We have to stop being afraid to name our oppressors. Okay? So how do we stay consistent for long? We don't need to stay consistent. We need to blame our oppressors. I was telling somebody, I'm looking at the stuff. It's nice that we make the memes and we make the flyers and we dedicate them to people, to Tamir Rice, to Garner, to Trayvon Martin, to Ahmaud Arbery. But guess what we don't do? We don't name the people who took something from them. We know Zimmerman. We know the McMichaels. But who was it that killed Eric Garner? Who was it that killed Tamir Rice? Who was it that killed these people? We don't say their names. So they can live life like a normal person when it's all gone. The cop that just killed, and I saw one post with his name on it. But where is his name? So how do we affect him? Why is it we're so worried about everybody else? We're gonna what's the guy's name who just got killed? I'm having too many thoughts, Roy.
George Floyd.
Eric Floyd.
George Floyd.
I'm sorry, George Floyd. We can say his name. We're gonna celebrate his anniversary in a year. But what about the cops that killed him? Who says their name so that when it comes up, we know to watch out for these people? Sandra Bland. Who are the people that contributed to her demise? What are their names? These are the names that we need to be saying. These are the names that we need to memorize. These are the names that we need to constantly be upholding. When you have a judge who gives one black person a 20-year sentence for rape, but he gives a white guy 18 months because he don't want to ruin his life, that judge's name needs to be said over and over and over again. So when it's time for election, when he runs for position, we know his name. But right now, we don't know any of our oppressors' name. We don't know them because we don't say them. And we've got to get better at calling out who it is that oppresses us, so that when we see them, we know what to do. Like I said, I'm not knocking people who are celebrating the people who have been killed, who've been gunned down. I get what you're doing. But if we want to make the fight legitimate, Let's call out the people that took something from them. Let's call them out. This is what we've got to get better at. We have to call them out because, again, they are elected officials. And if your mayor has a police chief that ain't doing what you want to in your jurisdiction, why are you voting for this mayor? So if the mayor does something, let's take Brunswick. We know Ahmaud Arbery. We know the Zimmermans and whatever their third guy's name is. I know it's somewhere. But when have we ever called out the police who didn't arrest anybody? When did we call out the police who looked for a DA? When did we call out the DA's name? These names are so silent to us. So if they go to another jurisdiction and carry on the same exact behavior, who would know? Who would know? Because we're not calling their names. And are we afraid to call their names? What is it? And this is my point. Are we afraid to name our oppressor? Because that's who we need to be calling now. We need to give them tons of publicity. If we look at what happened in New York a couple of days ago in the Central City thing, once her name got out, look at what happened. Look at what happened. I don't know. And you know, me and one of my future guests talked about this. She was fired. There was no ticker tape parade. There was no petitions. They posted her information. Her company let her go because that ain't what they want to be known for. This is how we get power. Say their name. Let's call our oppressor out. If Roy is oppressing me and letting something be done to me, then Roy's name should be, and Roy ain't sensitive, that's why I can use Roy. But Roy's whose name we gotta keep repeating so that when Roy moves from wherever to a different state, he can't still just go about life as he's been going about life. This is what we've got to change, people. This is one of the major steps. Don't get me wrong, and I always talk about voting, and I'm going to keep talking about voting. Because the people we vote for, if they don't do what we're supposed to do, we have to call their names out and let people know that they're not upholding their job. Don't just sit in silence because y'all swear if you don't say nothing, you're complicit. So when we don't call them out, does that mean we're complicit? According to what we're saying, it does. So we can't just sit back and not say their name. It's cute that we jump on Joe Biden because he made a statement about you can't be black if you don't vote for him. But damn, ain't that what we've been saying about people who support Trump? That you can't be supportive of the black narrative? And why is it we quick to jump on people just for having a difference of opinion, but we not quick to jump on people who are pulling us down, who are bringing us down, who are causing our demise?
All right, D, you took a breath. So let me.
All right.
Jump
So
in. Wait a minute.
With that being said,
wait. Before I want to say something first.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to do something. Okay, I'm sorry.
We are going to go to break, but I wanted to say something. We got the other guests are going to come in, and I'm going to get Lyle to come in with you as well. But I wanted to say something. I actually wanted to make a comment to Wanda just to be clarified. Congress is actually the Senate and the House of Representatives. Both of them have the ability to make laws. They write legislate. That's what their jobs are. They're supposed to be in Washington to write laws and do that. They are the legislative branch of our government. Executive, judicial, legislative. That's where laws come from. So that's what they're supposed to be doing in that process. I was responding to her comment in there because it's not just because that's one of the things that a lot of people miss. It's not just the Senate. We've got to get people in the House of Representatives doing their jobs as well, because you can author legislation in either one of the two houses of Congress. So I'm gonna let you take us out to break, and then we'll go from there.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Go ahead and do your thing, Roy. Let me talk to my people on my personal pages right quick.
To blend teas with exotic spices and
We good?
to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
The Creole seasoning is a sodium-free and sugar-free blend that's versatile enough to put on anything. One of the first blends I developed more than 8 years ago, the Creole seasoning has an unmistakable aroma, a bold flavor, and a little heat for character. Every time I open one of these bottles, I hear trumpets and big band music.
For my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teachings, hey, 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 motivation.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
All right, and we are back, and I got two of my special guests here, Trina and Morgan Renee. We're gonna just call them, shit starters extraordinaire, because they bringing it. This all started with a post by Trina Marie that Morgan shared, and from that point on, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna be like Mikey. I was just trying to get me a bowl of cereal, and next thing I know, the floodgates came open. Mark Zuckerberg sent me an email asking me if I knew either one of these ladies, and I told him I did not, because I'm tired of being on probation. So I'm gonna let Morgan start, because Morgan is not a shy type. But let me before we get started, I see my co-host Lyle is here. He coming in looking all fly with the curtains behind him, doing his thing. I don't know what's up with that. So he doing his thing, and he flexing, playing with his hair, being being uppity just because some of us ain't got no hair. But I ain't paying you no attention, Lyle. Lyle, say hello to the gang.
I can't hear you, Lyle.
Lyle, you got to cut your mic on.
I got him.
Oh, Lyle ain't paid his phone bill.
There you go. Good.
I got you.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. What's up, Trina? What's up, Morgan? Big Roy?
Hey.
Yep. I saw a little bit. Trina put something on the page, so I'm interested to hear what y'all been starting.
We got the beautiful Trina Marie back from her long hiatus. I had to buy her something to get her to come back on the show, so she's being bribed to be here. Say hello to the crowd, Trina Marie.
What up, y'all?
What up?
And then we got Morgan Renee, who she's hooking and drinking at the same damn time. That's a hell of a combination, hooking and drinking. Yeah, okay, it's just water. I see them water don't have bubbles in it, Morgan, but I'm at like I don't see them. Morgan, introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm Morgan Renee Myers, born and raised Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm just an artist. I do everything. I have a crochet clothing line. I'm an actress, poet, event host, community homegirl, connector. And I just like to strike up, the uncomfortable conversations around sex, relationships, and communicating.
Bam. That's what she said. All right, so let's go on and jump into the post, Morgan. Break it on.
Well, so Trina, what did she say? Something along the lines of, like your man, he's not just cheating to cheat. What did the woman do to drive him to cheat? Something along those lines. I'm not saying it verbatim.
I asked the question. Because I see a lot of times that women are always talking about how, other women are making it easy for your man to cheat and all this other stuff. And I think that's ridiculous because, for one, he do what he want to do. But so it made me ask the question, is it really other women that's making it easy for your man to cheat, or are you making it hard for him to stay faithful? And that post got shared lots of times. I mean, ridiculous amounts of times. And all of the comments that I keep seeing, it's like always it's the women talking about, well, nobody makes him cheat. He has makes his own choices and blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't asking about whether or not nobody can make you do anything. And we all understand it's a choice. But do you have it in you to do enough insight to be able to determine whether or not you are actually making it hard for your man to stay faithful? People talk about this whole monogamy thing, being monogamous is not hard and da-da-da-da. But if you look up the definition of monogamy is a practice. It's something you work on every day. It's not something that comes natural to us. We are not innately monogamous creatures. So I just wanted to know, are you making it hard for your man to be faithful?
Yes.
And let me just interject from a man's point of view. A lot of what was being said was, we're not saying, I don't think Trina meant that women make men cheat because we do what we will do what we want to do. The question is, when you make certain statements, when you tell a man, oh, if you cheat, you better not let me catch you. Are you telling him it's okay to cheat as long as he is respectful and hides it from you? Which means you're not good. You truly don't want honesty. Are you constantly withholding sex from him as a punishment? These are things that drive men to cheat. And I think that was more her point. Are you making it hard for him to stay faithful? Are you helping him cheat with your actions? Not because leaving ain't as easy as we think it is. And we can debate the merits of leaving all day long. But most people don't simply leave because of sex. That's been proven. So Robert is shaking his head again. So I think her basic point was not, is the dude a good dude? What are you contributing to him even wanting to step outside by little simple petty challenges or petty statements? And I think that's what I got from it. Trina, you want to elaborate on that?
That's pretty much what I meant. Exactly that. We do things all the time, and we're constantly pushing our men. We push our men out the door, but then when he finally does go out there and go get somebody else, then we want to get mad and we want to put 100% of the responsibility and accountability on him, but we don't ever take the time to self-reflect. And one of the things that I don't understand is like how the women are not taking accountability, but we all know that lots and lots of women have accepted their man back after cheating. So after he came back and he apologized to you, one of the first questions that we ask is why. So when we ask why, 9 times out of 10, he pointed to something that you did or did not do. at some point, didn't you have to kind of accept the accountability in order to accept him back? Right? Mm-hmm.
So Roy rocking his head. So let me get Roy before his head fall off, because I know he ain't got enough motor oil to keep that head from on that swivel. So Roy, what you got to say? Don't disappear, Roy. Where you at?
My bad. I turned my mic down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, you don't hear me? I'm talking.
Come to Random Thoughts, Cinema.
So, all right.
So what you got to say, Roy? You was just.
Well, actually, you know what? Trina quantified her comment after, because I actually agree with some of it to a certain extent, because you know how I feel. Ultimately, if you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat. You know, and so I get that. That's ultimately a choice, because you can be in a relationship that somebody's cheating on you and you not cheat on them. I know personally, been there, dealt with that. You know, but like she said, the thing is, if once you get to that point, because like I'm gonna tell you, you cheat on me, coming back is really not gonna be much of an option, especially not at this point. You know,
did you hear what you said, Roy? Did you hear what you said?
No.
You said there ain't gonna be much of an option. When mean that door is still cracked.
No, it's not. It's not cracked. When I say much of an option, it ain't open at all.
Okay, that's a whole different answer than what you said initially.
Because what Trina said though was the point that quantified it for me was that when you take somebody back, because if you're taking somebody back at that point, yeah, you must be thinking, okay, yeah, I may have did something. Now listen, I've been around and seen people whose women don't withhold sex for you, and you know, you don't punish a man with sex. You know, don't punish. There's certain things you do, and that goes for men and women. There's certain things you should not do or punish your partner with that are innate things that are supposed to be happening in a relationship, and especially if it's something that you guys are used to. So if you're doing stuff like that, yeah, you do need to take some accountability for it. That's why I said I was shaking my head at first, because I didn't hear that part. So when she quantified it, it changed my whole perception on that.
And you gotta remember though, some people take them back because they truly believe they can't do better, and sometimes I think sometimes women play a card like they playing poker, and they think they got to win a hand when they see they don't. That bluff they was doing wasn't legitimate. Cause if you don't do this, I'ma leave, and the guy be like, okay, and they're like, okay, well I'm gonna start over. Well, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But how many times have we heard, especially men, where we get accused of cheating over and over and over again with no reason? It's just coming out. So what do we say? If I'm gonna get accused of it, I might as well do it.
Oh no, I leave.
No. We ain't talking about you. Don't take it personal. We talking about how women can make it easy for guys to cheat. Because if you're gonna keep punishing me for something I'm not doing, if I'm gonna get punished, why not just go ahead and do it? And I think that's part of the concept. Why not just do it if I'm gonna keep getting punished for it? Because sometimes, you know, love make you do stupid shit, and we're all stupid when we fall in love. Nobody wants to leave, and you know, maybe we can hope that you're gonna do better. I mean, eventually that's what it's gonna come down to. But the premise is, what's the woman's role in helping a guy to make that choice? Because sometimes it ain't that we just woke up thinking about cheating. Hell, I cheated. It wasn't something I woke up one day and thought about. It was an ongoing process that pushed me further and further and further to go ahead and make that step. I mean, and that's just my personal experience. I can't say why everybody cheat. Some people don't want to be in relationships to start with. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Morgan. Go ahead.
And not to mention that it's not always about sex. You know, a lot of times, I can't say what it is about a lot of times. I don't freaking know why people do stuff. But for me, it would not even be about sex, because I'm not going to get into a relationship with somebody giving bad sex anyway. So that's not it. It's something else. It's like you're not loving me properly. You're not fulfilling my emotional needs. We're not connecting mentally. We in a bad spot or something like that. And what do you always say, Darren? A shoulder to cry on becomes a to ride on. I mean, that's the same thing happens for men too. You know, if a man feel like he can't talk to you, but and sometimes they need to have like that. They need to have that conversation, that viewpoint from another woman. So talking to their boys don't always cut it. Sometimes like, yo, you know, Morgan, let me ask you a question, because you know I'm falling out with Trina. She can't, you know, I'm trying to get her to understand it, and Morgan understands. Next thing you know, they getting chummier and chummier by the day. Next thing you know, they having lunch. Next thing you know, so it's not necessarily that people plan to cheat. It just kind of, a lot of times, I think it takes its natural course. And Did I contribute to that by not being able to talk to my man, by not being that listening ear, by always at him all the time? I kind of got to take responsibility for some of that. I do.
And I think a bigger thing is I see what Morgan and Lee are saying, but and understand where we are now, we can speak. It's easier to speak on these topics because we have some experience and wisdom. But when you're in the moment, when you're 25, 26, hell, even 30, or like I said, I talked to one lady, just basic talking. She had only been with one man, so there was a lot of things she didn't know. So we can't base everything on age. But the thing is why is it happening? Just like men have to be held accountable for things that they do to drive women away, women have to be held accountable because some people try their hardest to make a relationship work. Sometimes they stay too long. Sometimes they stay for the wrongest reasons. Sometimes they just don't want to give up so easily. So at some point, when the question was asked, a lot of people start deflecting. And the question wasn't about whose fault is it. It's about what is your part in contributing to this. Are you that woman who does withhold sex? Because let me tell you a quick story. In one of my marriages, my wife told me, she said, I had a dream that you slept with another woman. She said, I'm not gonna touch you for a month. And I was like, what? You had a dream? She said, she told me whatever she was, when people see dreams that mean they true, in her mind, so that was gonna be her punishment for me. And it's like, but you know why? When did I cheat? She said, I don't know when you did it. I said, but you've been with me. But in her mind, that dream was reality, and that's what she chose to punish me for. You know, I was married, so I was like, whatever. It wasn't worth the fight for me at that time. But when you think about stuff like that, those are the things that Trina's kind of talking about, because you know, you don't just up and willy-nilly get divorced. Most people don't. You try to fight through these things. That's what everybody married tell you. You're gonna have hard times and tough times, yada yada yada. You fight through certain things, but there are times that people do contribute to the demise of their relationship, and at some point, they have to accept that. Men who work too much, we have to accept the fact that if our woman says you're not spending enough time with me, how we contributed to that. Maybe she doesn't need to be with a guy who is driven to that point. Maybe she doesn't need to be with a workaholic. So these are little things. And when saying you're at fault, you got to consider what your role is when you're having these conversations. What's important to you? What's the song say? If you think you're lonely now, we either can have a bunch of stuff, or we can spend a lot of time together. But we can't have a bunch of stuff and spend time together. And that I think that's part of it. But Renee wants you to define cheating, Trina. Or Morgan.
Say that again.
Renee wants y'all to define cheating.
Well, for me personally, cheating would be going against any of the rules that we set forth in our relationship. So it doesn't really matter if it's physically, like you went out and physically had sex with somebody. If you're sneaking behind my back and just having little side conversations, that's y'all own little conversations. It's not part of our exclusive relationship. Then that's cheating. It's not as hard of a blow as having sex with somebody else. But anytime you break the rules of the relationship that you set forth, that's cheating to me.
I agree with that definition. Yeah. But I do have some input, Darren. Go
ahead. You're supposed to. Y'all supposed to be leading this show. I'm just the host.
I know. You've been running your mouth. No, I'm playing. One of my followers hopped on Sonya. She talking about Sonya, you gonna think I sound foolish too. She said that it's immature and cowardly and bullshit. Ask me and talk to me if I'm the one that's the problem in the relationship. So one of the things that I hear men say on my platform is that they are not really open to being open and vulnerable with women because we tend to use things and throw it up in their face later. And so I feel like in some relationships, men probably are telling women up front things that they don't like, or that we could do better. And a lot of times people just do what they want to do. And sometimes people get to their breaking point. And so again, yes, cheating is a choice, but also what are some things that you could be doing to drive them? So like, for example, me and Trina talked about this. At one point in time in my life, I used to be a side chick. And it wasn't that I was scoping them out. Sometimes I didn't even know up front, but really I was just a place of peace, because whatever they was going through at home, It was just somewhere to come where they could vent, they could release. It wasn't no judgment, and it wasn't no attachment. I wasn't gonna be nagging on them the next day. They wasn't gonna have to deal with me long term. They was really just coming to like have that release and keep it moving. So I feel like a lot of the times we have to really take heed to what our partners are saying, but also take the initiative to do what you need to do to change it up if you know it ain't working for you.
Robert said, will you stop knitting? Get them, girl. It's not knitting.
It's hooking.
Crocheting.
It's hooking.
Crochet. Knit one, pearl two. Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah. You got it in the comments, Lyle?
Little bit. For one, I've been married before. For two, I work with women most of the time. They talk to me a lot about relationships, about, they ask me questions, well, why do men cheat, different things like this. I'm vibing on Trina's comment and what everybody has said a little bit. It is the contributing factors. We can't be placing blame. As soon as we place blame on the other person, that alleviates you and you easy to go the other direction. But a lot of things contribute to that. And so what Trina was saying, I agree with. So sometimes what are the things that the woman might be doing that can contribute to that? It's not going to make you cheat because you do it on your own. But those things that can contribute. And Darren said withholding sex. I don't want to sound too crass, but pussy politics is what I heard it called. You playing around and playing games and using that as a tool. That's bananas. You know what I mean? And then when the women let the man come back, that's the first thing you do. And if you haven't resolved that situation, then it's right back to square one. Secondly, though, Trina said any side thought or whatever that might not be a part of the relationship is cheating. I kind of don't agree with that because
I didn't say thoughts. Like if you over having inappropriate conversations with another woman that you know damn well you ain't supposed to be having, that you wouldn't have in front of me.
Spicy.
No. It's rephrased. Now I got you. When you say inappropriate, yeah, I know how that goes and things like that. But I think us as men, and I know about the emotional cheating we speak on, but we can have a lot of thoughts, a lot of things, but for us not acting on it and us for staying to our vows and all those conversations that we had, I think that is the main thing. Having a thought, ain't acting on it. Well, that's my thoughts.
Morgan Roberts says you were on point. You came from a side piece perspective, so it's real insight for a man. And I think more women have been side pieces than want to admit to it, but and that's part of the age growth and maturity thing. Most of us have been through things, and we can have a different perspective after we've experienced it. Trying to speak from something that we have no experience on, what we believe, is kind of like a lot of wishful thinking. If you don't know, you can't really say you don't never know what you'll do in the situation if you ain't never been put in that situation. We all say, well, I'll do this. You don't know till you're there. We've taken people back from things that we said we'd never do. Hell, we probably dated people that we said we would never date. But for whatever reason, we got caught up in something for whatever reason, the moon aligned just right and we were there. So a lot of this is much better from people who have experienced this and they've grown from it, so they can say, I see this. Cleopatra Jones says, I disagree. While there are legal ramifications involved, if that is a big enough issue, you've got to cut it. The logic is insane. If you rely on dreams to make decisions, whether the dreams are true or not, I'm questioning your judgment. And I ain't saying it because I did eventually divorce her, but at the time, you don't leave a marriage because of every simple thing. You try to figure out what's the cause of it. I was just saying that was one of the issues that we had. But nobody leaves at the first sign of trouble, especially in a marriage, because you think you can work through this and work through that. And those things become lingering, kind of what the whole post is about. Women can do things that linger, and every man ain't a walker away. They think that, hey, I'm gonna do this and try to make things better. One of the things Trina pointed out is, whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of families stayed together because of this person. So we can say how we want the 21st century to be, but if we speak in reality and historically, this has been going on forever. And
when it comes to reality, then sometimes it's easier said than done. Like, I've cheated before, and most of my experiences have been like situationships where like the guy move in with me with friends or roommates, and he makes that clear, but we're doing everything like we're together, cooking, cleaning, raw sex, nicknames, stuff like that. And so there was a point in time with one dude, I knew he was clearly messing with other girls and things like that. He was into poly and all of that, but the attention that he paid me was like little to none. Was very like manipulative emotionally. Like, I didn't feel so great about myself, and we weren't having sex like that. We lived together, so I went out, did my thing, and he only knew about it because, you know, he read my diary and stuff. But when he confronted me, he was so shocked. Like, he just couldn't fathom that I would do something like that. But one of the reasons why, like, I wouldn't just come out and be like, oh, well, you got to go because I don't like how you treating me. We both kind of needed assistance with somewhere to stay. So I needed the rest of my rent for that month. He didn't have nowhere. I've tried to kick him out. He didn't have nowhere to just hop and go. So, you know, pride and ego for some people. So when people say, well, you could have just told me, or you could have just left and broke up. Not necessarily. Like, you might be too broke to really break up right now. Let me get on my feet.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm going to satisfy his nut.
Too broke to break up.
Too broke to break up, baby. That's why we can't do struggle love no more.
But and that's one of the things that's often overlooked. Some people are in a relationship strictly because not of the financial benefit for them. It's because they don't have enough money to leave. And you know, people say, I do this. But Morgan said something so important, and I heard this from other women. During the relationship phase, a guy moved in with them. It ain't as easy to move a gal. I mean, we can say whatever we want to say, but it ain't easy to move people out. You got to go through a lot of stuff. And the courts ain't even set up for you to automatically just put somebody out because now they got rights. It's a process. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of that process, hell, you know, the 5 stages, you end up going through them again because he is going to go back to the honeymoon phase and break your will. What were you watching the other day, Trina? Me and Trina was watching something the other day, and it's like, that guy's annoying, but he gonna wear a woman down with his annoying behavior because, you know, he's trying to get somewhere, and he's gonna wear her down.
All right, I gotta say something because I gotta.
Roy got his hand up.
Yeah,
go ahead, Roy.
I'm trying to be all polite and whatnot because I gotta say something on the comment that Lee made. Lee said, "When I was a wife, I suspected a side piece was exactly what she said. I just said a place of no responsibility, a place of fantasy. No wife can separate herself from the responsibility of home." Okay, so listen. Morgan didn't say she was a place of fantasy.
She did not.
Morgan said she was a place of refuge.
Mm-hmm.
A man's home should be his refuge. There is a difference between no judgment and no accusations and no condemning somebody. And just like they were talking about earlier, one of the challenges that we have especially as black men, we are taught from day one, especially if you grew up in the 70s, suck it up, boy. Don't be crying. Men don't cry. You don't do that. Men were taught from a very early age to not deal with their emotions. And so when a man finds a safe space in a woman, that's one of the things that we are looking for. I need to be able to come home and not take my frustrations out on you, but I need to be able to release that frustration and at least talk about it and be like, this shit pissed me off today. I had to go in the bathroom and cry in the stall because I couldn't deal with it because I wanted to kill somebody today. I wanted to jump on somebody, but I couldn't because I have these responsibilities. And I think that's one of the things that they made when Robert was saying, he was saying that she was making the statements from a perspective of a man. And I said, no, she was making that statement from the perspective of a side woman. Yeah. That woman who understood, listen, Darren, we talk about this all the time. We get into relationships, as long as you getting something out of it. People go into relationships. She was getting what she needed out of that relationship, and she was giving that man something that he needed that he wasn't getting at home. And see, that your man not being able to talk to you, that is definitely one of those situations that I will put on the side of what Trina said. If I cannot talk to my girlfriend, my wife, no, we don't. If I'm gonna tell you something, Lee, I'm gonna say this. Lee just said men find it hard to be vulnerable in front of wives for some reason. I'm gonna tell you something right now. If a man has married a woman and then has a problem being vulnerable in front of her, she has turned that vulnerability into a liability for him. Because we don't marry a woman unless we feel like she can be our safe place. Men don't marry women we're in Atlanta. 7 times out of 10, men don't marry women for finances. But it's a bunch of chicks in Atlanta rolling, so y'all know I done figured that out. That's why a lot of them do it, you know. There are some men out there that marry women for financial reasons. But for the majority of it, we are looking for women who can be our safe space. That is what a man wants. A man needs somewhere, especially a black man. In today's society, we need somebody that we can go to and be like, okay, I am free in what I'm doing. I am able to talk to my woman and let her know that that I have these problems. I have these challenges that I need to deal with. So it's definitely not a fact. Men want to be vulnerable somewhere. We need somebody that we can be vulnerable with. We need somebody that we can tell our innermost secrets to, especially now. And when I say now, once we get past 35, 40, when we 20, 22, we don't need nobody to tell our problems to. Hell, because we ain't got no problems, most of us. we still trying to figure shit out. We ain't got no problems. But we get to 45, we get to 50. Look, we done been through some stuff in our life, so yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had to jump in on that. I'm sorry. That touched something on that touched the little nerve on your boy.
And then you know, on top of that, you know, there's still a whole bunch of women out here who feel like men aren't supposed to cry. I know you ain't crying. You can't. You know, like they are not allowed to, like Roy said, be vulnerable at home. So. I'm not saying it's an excuse to cheat. I'm not giving any reason for anybody to cheat, but that can cause him to turn to another woman. If in his turning to another woman to just speak to her or whatever, they end up sleeping together. Can you really just say, oh, he just jumped up and he just ran? No, he didn't just jump up. He didn't just jump up and run to her. You kind of pushed him out the door. So you're not going to take no kind of accountability for it. You're not going to take nothing. You're just going to act like you did everything perfect.
Right.
But in not accepting any, the one female can always blame it on her spouse, and then in dealing with other relationships, she might not be looking in that mirror because she feels she's always on that right side. So when she can shuck all the blame, but when you can kind of share the blame, I think that makes the bond a little closer. And if there's any possibility for reconciliation, well, she can say, well, babe, yeah, I know I've been nagging. I know I, might have done this or whatever. So, we're trying to work this out. But nah, man, you went out there, you did this. It's on you. You ain't have to do it. Not that I've ever got that, but I know how that can go down. I listen to women. I talk with women all the time. I see how their attitude is toward their man. I can see them as they're talking to their man on the phone and how they tripping on them or whatever, So I've seen a few situations in my life.
And that blame game and lack of accountability be leading to patterns. So if you keep getting in relationships where you keep getting cheated on, you keep blaming it on the man, it's like, at some point, sis, what did you have to do with it? And vice versa, men. If they keep getting cheated on, you got to kind of look at like, well, what's the deal here? Like, people in general, and this is why I be asking people, did you wake up, stretch, tune in, all of that? Because I feel like sometimes the majority of our day is spent on what other people are doing and how they affect us. But how much time do we take to be intentional about how we move and operate in the world? What are our standards and characteristics and morals? Do we just talk to people any kind of way? Are we selfish? Are we negative? Do we have a negative mindset and a worrisome mindset? Because I feel like you attract some things too. I've had to look at patterns and see why stuff was going. I'm like, well, based on my mindset and how I thought about myself, I attracted these type of people to me that was going to treat me that way. So it kind of was inevitable that I was going to get cheated on, or that I wasn't going to be, claimed as somebody's woman, because that wasn't the energy I was drawing to me. So that could be hard to look in the mirror. That shit tough.
Darren, we can't hear you. I don't know what you did.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Can you hear me now?
No, it's good. We can hear you now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and we're going to get the Cleopatra. We're going to talk about some more stuff. Go ahead and run some commercials, Roy, and we'll be back in 2-3 minutes or less?
Yep.
All right.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
All right, and we back. Man, y'all off the chain. I'm seeing some comments. I'm gonna start with. Okay, I said I was gonna start with Cleopatra Jones. There are lots of options. Unfortunately, we learn more about options as we get older, and as we're older, that's why we have these conversations so we can help the newer generations coming out, so they don't have to make all the same mistakes we made. Because sometimes there aren't other options outside of cheating, other than being miserable. Very few people are going to make misery be their first, second, and third option. So some people do something, and some people, I've been with. I will give this. I was a side piece for a girl who was only supposed to sleep with me one time. That was her thing, her get back, her whatever. And it ended up being longer than that because she thought that that's what she wanted. So sometimes it ain't, because you don't know a lot of options. If you don't know, it's kind of like learning about money, anything else. If you don't know who to go to ask for help on how to do things, we can't solve every problem by ourselves. It helps that we have uncomfortable conversations and we hear what other people say, because then we become more informed and we don't feel like, how many times Trina or Morgan, have you felt like your situation was so unique that you never said anything to anybody, but as you got older, you found out somebody went through the exact same thing, but everybody's keeping a secret because everybody doesn't want to know about their vulnerability. Right. So some of these things you don't get until later on. And
old head still cheat.
Yeah.
most men cheat because he's not getting satisfied sexual. Ladies, y'all underestimate very good sex. I don't know who y'all is, but I won't even settle down with a man that's not giving up some very good sex. So I remove myself from that category. Thank you very much.
And Trina said something earlier. A lot of cheating a lot of cheating ain't about sex. Sex is just a byproduct. And most cheating starts with emotional or conversational acceptance,
intimacy.
because you get to open up to somebody. One of the things that's really underrated is the mental connection that most cheaters have with their cheatee. It's that mental connection that was never intended. You know, I tell Trina, a lot of times when women cheat, they end up getting involved mentally with the guy. They didn't have their guard up, so they never saw it coming. They didn't know to keep their guard up against him. But because they could talk freely, openly, and honestly, they weren't judged, and he would listen, or the girl would listen to the guy. That's how a lot of these start. Because we keep saying honesty. But again, the woman who says, "Oh, he better not cheat," or "He better not let me find out," which one is it?
D, that's called
you just gave him a double. You gave him a double. Either don't cheat or don't get caught. Which one are you telling me not to do?
And then not just the honesty, but a lot of people are, oh well, just speak up, communicate that. You have to remember and understand also, everybody does not have that communicative skill. They don't have that down. Some people are still in their 30s, 40s, hell, 50s, learning how to communicate. They haven't learned that yet. So
let me say this about communication, because I hate when people say I'm a good communicator. It sounds good. But are you a good communicator for the person who you are talking to or listening to? Right. See, when we go to the academy, we learn to be instructors. One of the very first things they teach us is when you teach something, you say it to people, and you have them say back to you what they heard. Because a lot of times we speak really clearly, but that doesn't mean men are from Mars or women from Venus. What I say ain't what she heard. Trina will say things to me, and I repeat back what I heard her say, and there's a disconnect. So I have to learn Trina's language. Trina has to learn my language. So being a good communicator is more than just being able to piece words together. You have to piece them together for your audience. When you're the way Trina talked to me can't be the same way she talked to the kids. She's got to change her communication mode. And people say, I'm just a good communicator. For who? It's just like saying you're a good woman or a good man. For who? Because the things that I require ain't what Lyle requires, ain't what Roy requires, ain't what Ernest requires. So you can't just generically be a good woman. Hell, I ain't generically a good man. It takes a special woman to want what I got. So I can't keep saying that. And we keep putting these generalities on qualifying us when we're not the consumer.
Okay, so D, hold up. So let me jump in on something you just said there, because I agree with you on part of that, but I also disagree on some of it. The first thing I want to say is that stuff that you're talking about. A lot of people, it's called being sapiosexual, meaning you're more mentally stimulated to someone than you are physically. And that is one of the ways that you end up in a physical relationship. I consider myself to be somebody who's sapiosexual. We've had that discussion before. I can't just do random sex. Does not work for me. So even when I'm dealing with somebody, and I agree with Cinnamon, I consider myself to be a good communicator. People who are truly good communicators do exactly what you said, though. We listen to other people. We listen to what moves the person that we're in a relationship with. We learn how they express themselves. We have those conversations, and we don't hold that stuff against them. Now, I totally agree with you about the part of saying I'm a good man or I'm a good woman, because that is relative to whoever you're dealing with. Like a woman could come to me and be like, "Oh, I'm a great woman. I know how to cook." I'm like, "So I cook." I'm like, I done said it publicly. My woman don't need she don't even got the need to like to cook, because I love to be in the kitchen. So you telling me that you cook means absolutely nothing. If that's your qualifier of being a good woman, then that's that don't mean nothing for me. Whereas for Lyle, he may be like, I don't even want to see the inside of a kitchen. So that I agree with you. Saying you're a good man or a good woman, that has to be quantified based on the individual. But we can all learn to being a good communicator. The first sign of that is that you listen to other people and that you figure out how they deal with and how they get into stuff. Because the reality is, and you done said this, most people don't want to be good communicators. Most people listen to respond, not to understand.
Right. So when you say that you're a good listener, you know how you determine if you're a good listener? By the amount of random people who come up and tell you shit, because they know that you're non-judgmental.
Right.
Because I hear people say, I'm a good this, but
ain't nobody telling you shit.
But you got a super small circle of people that trust you, whatever. This is what you're telling yourself. Because when I tell you something as a good listener, Are you listening again? Are you listening to hear? Are you listening? I mean, are you listening to respond? Or are you listening to understand? Because when you're a good listener, you know what happens with most good listeners? People will say, "Are you listening to me?" Because they ain't saying nothing. They're processing information. And if I got to keep battling to get my time in, because every time I say something, you're trying to analyze me, then you're not a good listener. You want to be a problem solver, but one of the things me and Trina did, and this is something that most guys are guilty of. Trina has a problem. She's telling me the problem. I'm trying to fix it. Trina doesn't want me to fix it. Trina just wants to vent to me. I have to learn to put on my friend ear and not her man ear. So Trina says this, and then you know what? I can sit back and listen, and I'm not thinking about how to fix the problem. And a lot of people who are good listeners want to be problem solvers. I'm a great problem solver. There are times when I'm a great listener, but more times than not, I'm a great problem solver. And there is a huge difference, because even to be a great problem solver, I got to hear what you're saying, but I'm not listening to the content of it. And we say these things, we need to hear this from other people versus us patting ourselves on the back and saying it. I'm a good man. For who? For Trina, yes. For Morgan, no. So where's the balance sign? So we need to get off some of these self titles and let the people tell us what we are.
And then and I see that Robert said that men only cheat for sex. Like, Robert, stop it, because there's women out here that think the same thing. Men are cheating just because of sex. No, that's not true. I was a side chick too, and guess what? We hardly ever had sex. Most of the time, we just hung out, we chilled, we talked.
Really?
We sex was not even a part of what we had. So he wasn't stepping outside of his relationship to have sex.
And I can say this, having been a cop, most call girls, most massage parlors, sex is not the thing. There's a lot of conversation going on. When we sitting there listening to tape, some of these women are not having sex for an hour. Guys are paying just so they can have, as Audrina said, their peace time. And guys don't always cheat for sex. And it's one of them things, Roberts, where if you want to know what guys do, you have to ask women. You may want to cheat because of the bad sex, but lots of guys don't do it. These older guys who, you look at these sites where all the Madams were, if you talk to them, most of them aren't having sex. Their companionship, they're getting paid more for their time than they are for their sexual prowess, and that's as true as it gets. So we can't, as Renee said, we can't underestimate the power of a mental connection and mental and emotional stimulation. That is super underrated. Physical is great. It's the icing on the cake. But that mental and emotional stimulation, the fact that she can feel safe with me, once a woman feels safe with you, she doesn't have her guard up anymore. She's easy to penetrate. Once you get her to let her guard down, that comes from that mental and emotional stimulation. Just because they physically attracted you, guess what? They still got their guard up because they think of you as a one-night stand or just somebody sexual. Once they let that mental guard and emotional guard down, you are a friend. You got way more clout with them than a FWB. So yeah, I don't think it's just sex.
And another thing you said with the whole mental connection thing, and I'm gonna touch on the whole communication. So even if I'm a great communicator and I'm still having issues at home because of the communication, because I feel like he's not understanding me. Like, you just don't understand me. That doesn't mean that I'm not communicating myself. I can't make him understand. I can give you the message, I can tell it to you, but I can't make you understand it. And if we still button heads because you can't understand me, then I'm not saying that's a reason. Please stop. I'm not saying it's a reason to go step outside. But it is, sometimes it makes you want to speak to somebody else. I don't mean talk to somebody else and cheat. You just want to go talk to somebody else. And then sometimes one thing leads to another, and boom.
I do enjoy the way you're putting it, Trina. It's not like these things are making anyone do. We all doing our free will. But we gotta realize and we gotta see the contributing factors in the whole big ball of wax. And those little things lead to big things.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, you don't have to agree with it, but it's there, Cinnamon. Ask professional call women how much of their life is actually based on sex. It's not. It's based on companionship. And that's why you got certain women who make a ton of money. They not don't get me wrong, they are having sex, but they're not having sex like people think they are. Because a lot of these events, when I was a cop and we did vice operations, a lot of these events take so long because there is no sex involved. We got to move on to the next one because this guy has entered. We know this is a call girl, but he spent 2 hours in there and never did anything but talk. She might have got a back rub, might have drank something, and after that, he dropped off the money and left. That's not prostitution. And you know, we don't want to hear that because it doesn't go with the narrative that we wanted to have. But that's why some of them take seriously their profession. They're not prostitutes. They're companions because that's more of what they're doing. They're women that you can buy just for time. And those are women who are making the big bucks.
So Robert asked me, did the guy that I was a side chick for eventually get it? Yeah, he got it. But so that wasn't the bulk of what our relationship was about. That wasn't even the basis of our relationship. So hell, sometimes Darren get it, sometimes he don't. I mean, like, so that's not what our relationship is doing.
But what I think he's saying is that's the end goal. It started out as emotional and just somebody to talk to. So if he got it, then that's the end goal. And what I'm thinking is, for women, is that the end goal? I know it's emotional cheating, you guys will say, is just as bad as the physical and things like that. But if a man is, say your guy is talking and he's having some conversations, but he feels strongly about his woman, he don't want to go there, and he never does. Is that cheating? What has he actually done wrong besides talk?
I mean, he's emotionally cheating, and then if we do actually do, like, some women don't care or respect people's relationships, or you being monogamous, or you being in a relationship, especially if the man approached you about it. You came to me looking for solace, and I just happened to be my peaceful, go-lucky, free spirit self, and you came in my space, and I gave you what you wanted, and it was an exchange. We both got something we wanted out of it. So, yeah, he was emotionally cheating.
Right. And let's be real, you know, you say that's the end goal. Hell, that's the end goal for a lot of us once we become mentally connected with somebody. Once I connect with somebody mentally, eventually I'm going to want to have sex with you too. So, I mean, that goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm going to throw that intellectual punani back, okay? That conscious thing. What's that conscious thing do?
It's going to be some smart thing. It's smart coochie.
That's a mess.
But and I think, you know, we missing the point because Renee said something. When you're the theory with most men is that the side chick is where we always go to have sex, and women, Trina, Morgan, Renee, they're telling you, as side chicks, when they met up with this guy, they didn't always have sex. So that's not the side piece's role, because if you got sex at home, why go to the side piece? It's more than just sex. It's more than just sex. They're not having sex that often. Robert, you say you spent 3 months before you got it. So whoever you was doing it with, they got the benefit whatever you was providing until they got to that point. So after 3 months, giving you a little piece was a small payoff. I mean, you know, it's shit. It is. You can have sex with somebody you don't have an emotional attachment with. Most of us have had careless sex. We've had no strings attached sex. There was nothing other than a pure physical component. No mental connection, no nothing other than the hormones was raising at the right time. The full moon hit at the right time. We did it. We may have exchanged real names. We may not have. So the sex is a whole different thing. But the point is, again, what are you doing? When me and Trina can't communicate, we both want to talk to somebody else. See, Trina can talk to somebody else. And I'm just going to use Roy in this instance. Trina can talk to Roy. If Roy don't understand Trina, then Trina knows that she's got to fix Trina. But if Roy understands Trina and Darren don't, then that's a Darren issue. Because now Trina knows that she's communicating this way, so she may have to change the way she talks to me. And sometimes that's how you have to check your communication level to see if you're the only one that doesn't understand. Because if everybody else understands what I'm saying except for one person, boom. But if nobody understands me, then that's a whole nother thing. So those are the things you got to look at when you start talking about communication. Oh, I'm a great communicator. I say what I mean and mean what I say. But do you say it in a point that can be interpreted by the person that you're talking to? Everybody don't hear the same way. Some people like matter of factness. Some people like to be schmoozed over. Some people like the Queen's English. Some people want to be told to sit down and shut the F up. You can't tell everybody to have a seat. Some people
like the damn Queen's English.
Be real proper. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
so D, I like what you said about, you know, we keep saying about it. It's not the physical, and you know me, I kind of think it is, but really, when I started, because you got all these freaking great stories about you and Trina. When I first met Renee, she didn't even live anywhere in Georgia. She lived in California, and I just happened to meet her, hung around her, and it was something about her, and I kept asking her sister, her other sister, about her. So it wasn't even a physical, because at the time I couldn't see her physical. It was just whatever I had in my mind when I did saw her. And I think it was, you know, everybody got this mystique. I think it was because she lived in California and she had this short hair and this tan, so I thought I was getting a California girl or whatever. I don't know what the hell it was. But it wasn't even about the sex that, you know, I was pursuing. It was just her, you know, it was something about it. I don't know what it was, but it was amazing.
We should have had David Lee Roth playing in the background. Don't they all want a California girl? Wasn't that his song?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
that's the whole thing about it. Hell, when me and Trina met, we were 1,000 miles apart. We established the mental connection. Sex, you know, yeah. But what is it? Whether it be a man or a woman, how is it that you can contribute to this stepping out? And it's not saying that you're at fault, but you're a contributing factor. It no different than any disease that we catch. If you got high blood pressure, it ain't one food that's contributing. It ain't one food that's causing you to have high blood pressure. It's a series of food. So when somebody steps out, at some point, we do have to. As much as we want to keep blaming everything on everybody else, are we contributing to their peacefulness or their happiness, or are we being selfish?
Darren, could one of the contributing factors be, because I see a lot of women have said, well, a man just gonna cheat because that's just what he do. So if they feel like they are communicating great, things seem to be going well at home, they're having efficient sex, and he still does it, could the contributing factor just be that he's just a cheater, or maybe he hasn't come to terms with himself that maybe he's more polygamous or wants an open relationship, and it's really not what the woman's doing or not doing?
It absolutely could be. It absolutely could be that he doesn't know who he is. And that's what I try to tell people a lot of times. We want people to be something, but most of us don't know who we are at the time. Most of us are creatures of our environment. When you meet a good dude, you act differently when you meet a dude. But in the beginning, all dudes are a dude. When you meet a good dude, you change some of your perspective. But because you don't know who you are. You're doing what it takes to survive. Survival is our most basic instinct. When you got something that you don't want to lose, you act differently. When I've dated girls seriously, who if they left me, I wouldn't have even tried to stop them. But they're hell. Y'all should be in on me and Trina fight. But I will fight for Trina. Different mentality. It's a different because she's different. But if you ask the other girls, oh, he'll just let a woman lead, because I would just let them lead. They weren't that important to me, even though we were technically in a relationship. They in my later years, as I give out titles, I would call them time killers. Ain't nothing else good going on, so you who I'm gonna put up with until this. But hell, me and Trina have knockdown drag out fights now. I know I'm willing to fight for Trina. There's some girls I wouldn't even be willing to tie up my shoes for, but they were good for the time. So when we try to say, is a guy this or is a guy that, is a woman this or is a woman that, what are you doing to make them want to be better, want to be with you? Or you just hoping that, oh, well, when a woman get with a man, she should want this. Roy wants to be, Roy, one of my favorite people. Roy dates with intent. Roy done said Roy don't. I think that's what Roy said. Correct me if I'm wrong, Roy. Roy does not want to have casual sex.
I can't do it. It doesn't work.
This guy is not. So you got two different sides of the fence. Roy is dating, looking for the ultimate goal. I got a whole different mindset for the dating process. And those are the things that you have to match up. Trina just said she ain't even finna date you, sir, if the sex ain't good. So, but does that mean that everybody who got good sex is marriable to Trina? So we all got to understand where we are with who we are, because does Trina treat me like last boyfriend number 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5, or does she treat me totally different? I would venture to say there've been different forms of her for every guy she's dated, because she has her basic self, but then there are things she does for accommodation, because that's what we all do. So it's hard to say who's a cheater and who's not. What's the situation? If that makes any sense.
Right, because some people bring out the worst in you and some people bring out the best. And you might not know that you have a cheater in you, and somebody gonna bring that damn cheater out. I'm just for real, because like I cannot ever say that I've been a cheater, but I have cheated, and I was like, damn, yo, I couldn't believe it.
Okay, hold the hell up. What's the difference?
What?
What's the difference, Trina? Because if us men go out there and cheat, we are a cheater.
Oh no! I'm saying like, and normally I've never been a cheater. You know what I mean? Like all my relationships, I wasn't a cheater. But that last one, he did something to me. He brought the cheater out. I didn't even know she was there, but he brought her out.
Now see, here's where I'm gonna disagree. Hold on
now.
Wait,
Trina, I'm the last one, so I need you to clarify that statement.
You're not the last. You're the current. Stop it.
Before the last.
Somebody call 911. We finna have some DV up in this house up in here.
So listen. So hold on. Wait. Because I want to say something on that, because
that sounds like double standard.
I think no, it's not. I'm not calling all men cheaters, so I don't see how it's a double standard at all. I think men and women, they cheat.
See, I don't think it's okay. So like, listen, yeah, I'm not a cheater. I've never cheated, and I won't cheat because a monogamous relationship is something that is more serious to me than just going out. Like I will, if it gets to the point where I'm having issues where either we're not having sex, or you're not or I'm not able to communicate with you, I'm going to try to fix that. Somebody brought this up earlier in the comments. I'm going to do everything I can to fix that. Before I cheat, I'll be like, I'm out. We going to break this off and we going to leave. My ex cheated in our marriage, and it started off because it was a money issue. It didn't even start off with some of the other stuff. It was money. And, she wanted our relationship to stay like it was when we first got married. Well, hell, when we first got married, we had one child that we could drop off at her grandmama in them house whenever we wanted to travel. So I would call her up on Thursday, pack a bag. I'm not going to work Friday. We traveling the country. We hitting the beach. We doing this. We had our second daughter. Well, it was still easy. We could drop the one off at her grandmama house, and we could drop the baby off at somebody else's house. But hell, when we had our son, getting rid of 3 kids ain't as easy. And taking 5 people on a trip gets more expensive. Right, it gets more expensive. So we had to stop traveling like she did. So she started hanging out with friends and saying, "Oh, they can take me. We can go this and we can go do that." And I literally, that was the first time I ever cursed at my ex-wife. She gonna tell me, talk about something. I spend time with him because he can take me out to dinner to fancy restaurants. And I looked at her and said, "Damn it, if I ain't have to take care of your 3 children and your ass, I could take you out too." Because I was pissed at that point, because I'm seeing you're telling me that the only reason you're going outside of your marriage for something that clearly you should be able to do with your husband is just because you can go to this fancy restaurant like we used to. Notice now, she said, that's what she said, like we used to be able to do that. So Trina, when you said the cheating, it's not that the cheater, maybe everybody has a trigger. Maybe some people choose not to do it. But just like D said, your point actually goes to what D said. At some point, it's going to either be you're going to fight for it or you're not. And you just did, that dude before him, he just wasn't worth it. You was like, you know what? Damn this. Let me just go do what I want to do. And I'm going to go there.
Well, see, with your example, I'm sorry, that was just a lame ass reason to be cheating, because she want to go to damn dinner. Girl, stop. Save up some money, go to dinner, get rid of kids.
See, it wasn't, but again, it wasn't just, no, it wasn't just dinner. It was money. We weren't able to spend money like we used to.
I got you. But see,
you weren't balling no more, right?
Right? No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it was.
And see, for me, by the time that I cheated, the relationship was over anyway. I mean, it was just over. Mentally, the connection was gone. If it was ever even really there, if I'm being totally honest with myself, it was never really there anyway. We got a kid together. We're dependent on each other financially. I got a special needs child. It's like, okay, well, I kind of need him to pay the other half of the rent. Like Morgan said, sometimes you're too broke to break up. I was too damn broke. So shit, I stepped out. Do what I did. Am I ashamed about it, man? Fuck, hell nah. Man, look, you live your life, no regrets, and that's it. That's it.
Rory, I have a question for you. One of my followers always says that like men choose women just based on like who we are or whatever, and women usually choose men based on what they can do. So do you kind of agree with that? Like she was with you because you was doing all this fun stuff, not thinking or knowing once I pop out these babies, my life gonna shift. Find any validity in that statement?
You know what? I'm gonna give you the simple answer. Yes, that we can discuss it offline, but no, it honestly it is. It becomes and I've said this particular thing on the show before. Like I've had people, you know, y'all we talk about the company and you know Jericho and D has me do it. A lot of people will look at it and they probably think, oh, this is just some shit he started last few years. This is actually a 20 plus year plan that I've been working on. Because it's a lot more serious than most people know or think. And she literally looked at me one day and said, I just don't, when she finally was completely honest about what was going on, her comment was, I didn't want to struggle. I thought you'd be rich by now.
Oh, wow.
So she, you know, and listen, no, because listen,
so y'all was on some acrimony shit.
No, listen, and I'm gonna say something though. I'm gonna say something that I ended up learning through this process of going through the divorce and everything. Because at that point, when that was said, the first thing I started thinking was, okay, she just never loved me. And then I had to stop, and we went through some different things. I had some conversations with her brothers, other people that knew her. There was never a question of it. And this is how I then ended up transitioning from saying she never loved me. I said she didn't love me enough. She didn't love me enough to fight through the challenges of our marriage. And that happens every day to people. Everybody is just like Mike Tyson said.
What you could do for her. She didn't love you.
See, no, and that's why I say I don't agree with that. Because at the front side of there, listen, we had, just like most marriages, most people can say, even in a marriage or most marriages that end, that there were usually more good times than bad times. It's very rare that somebody stays into a relationship where you just had hella bad times all the damn time. That shit usually does not happen that long. Somebody either die or somebody start getting abused. Because once you bring abuse into it, there ain't no happy days in that. So
and see, the bad times may not last as long as the good times have, but those bad times could be a lot heavier, a hell of a lot heavier.
And I agree with you. Times. I get you there, yeah. So, but like I said, I had to realize that I had to stop saying she didn't love me, because I realized and found out she did actually love me. But again, she didn't love me enough to go through this, and this is how I said it. She didn't love me enough to go to the struggle of my journey. How did I determine that fact? Because she actually looked at me one night and said, you go work on, she said, why don't we get separated? You go work on the company, and when you get it to where you want it to be, we can get back together. That was the day I checked out. When she said that shit to me, I was like,
she said, you gonna make that money and then come holler at me later.
I was like, okay, yeah, no. So, and at this point we had our 3 children. We were, she had been there. She was there through me, something struggling. She no longer wanted to struggle through the process.
But, I mean, isn't that a valid concern? No, yeah, okay. Let's say I'm 30 when we get married. I support you. I'm supposed to wait 20 years till we 50 to wait for a big break. Like, come on, what you doing in 20 years?
No. So hold up. Let's quantify something. Let's quantify something at this, because at the time, because one, and this is another thing that y'all have to realize, when you're in a relationship and you get with somebody, y'all got to realize that every decision that both of y'all makes affects everything that happens throughout your life. Right. Now, mind you, at this time, baby girl, I was still working 2 damn jobs besides my company. Okay. There were times she didn't have to work like she wanted to. The struggle for her, again, was not being able to travel like we used to, not being able to just spend money the way she used to. That wasn't a result of my goals and my dreams. That was a damn result of 3 children.
Yeah, that's both of y'all. That was both of y'all.
Okay, that's what that was. Because if you've ever had to take 3 people on a trip, and then you take 5 people on that same trip, and realize that you got to spend an extra $400, that shit changes stuff. And then she didn't want. And here's the other. She didn't want to work.
Kept getting her pregnant.
So that's her too for keep getting pregnant. So you know.
But part of it is like Courtney saying, is we're a team. We can't. I would be stupid to think that Trina didn't like me for my ability to maintain a support system. That would be purely stupid. That she likes me enough that if I'm broke, and I ain't saying that if I lose my job, I think Trina will stay. Had I been unemployed and struggling when I first got here, would I have appealed to Trina the same way? I'm not sure that I would, because she wanted the stability. Stability gives you more options. But what a lot of women don't look at in hindsight is when we're getting that stability, and this is where guys mess up. What can you do to help me? See, and again, I'm gonna give you a me and Trina story because Lyle likes him. I knew Trina wasn't gonna work when she got. I knew Trina wasn't gonna work when she got down here. We agreed that she wasn't gonna work because I need for her to take care of home and and the family issues beforehand. And after we got that situated, Trina. Every time we talked, Trina was always talking about getting a job, but finding a babysitter because she has a child with special needs. That was one of the things that appealed to me. I knew that I wasn't going to have to deal with a woman who didn't want to work and was going to be totally dependent upon my income. Because what happens if I hit a downturn? If I hit a downturn with a woman who ain't bringing no income in, we're both sinking fast. Trina showed me that she wanted to work. So that meant she could help build what we're doing. It's not me building and she ride my coattail. We're building. And that was one of the things that attracted me to her. And I always say, we're not at the same earning level right now, but we don't have to be. I have a deeper worker history, but she is willing to work to get us there. So if I feel the need to slack off, Trina can pick up the pace. And that's kind of what Roy talking about. She wanted Roy to be the total supporter. And too many times guys fall into that because we don't ask the deeper questions. We don't look at the work history. We don't see that they want to work. I'm going to use my niece and nephew, Courtney and Farrar, both to work. So they're building together. When you only got one person working, it's hard to keep thinking of a team concept unless that one person is extra wealthy. Because no matter how well off we may be, I'm the shit when I'm by myself. I had a lot of money. I took in 3 extra people. I'm pretty good, but now I got them support. There's a part of Trina that appreciates that even when I drive her crazy, she got to appreciate that little portion. So that makes her hang on just a little bit longer. Or as she told me the other day, she can't leave me because of coronavirus. She can't find a place to stay. So whatever it is, that's what we're doing. So, but the point is, we were building together. She was adding to it. She wasn't just pulling out of my pocket. She wasn't just pulling, because that weighs on me too. And so then we both gonna get frustrated. She gonna be frustrated because I ain't bringing in nothing. I'm gonna be frustrated because she's constantly taking. And that's something that guys have to pay more attention to, because then are we pushing women away? Because what's the thing? Whatever I get you used to is what I got to keep going. So if I was doing all this spoiling of you and I can't do it no more, whose fault is that?
No, but D, so
Trina, don't say nothing for 5 minutes.
D, but hold up. So like when I was talking, the point that I made about it though, there's a difference in the sense of what you're saying. So yes, if we, because that's I'm a proponent. You do what you did you have to keep doing what you did to get somebody to keep them. But your life, when you are married, your life will change based on who you are and what y'all are doing together. So the expectation that's where my problem came in. It wasn't an expectation, because listen, when I legit tell you that there were times in my marriage that I had 5 jobs, like 4 that I clocked in for somebody else, and then my business. And I didn't even find this out until after I got divorced. My mom called me one day and said, she called me early on in y'all marriage saying that you work too much.
Yeah.
And then she said, it was funny.
That is a lie. She needed some side dick.
But see, no, she didn't. And see, ironic. Here's the funny part. She didn't cheat. She wasn't cheating at that point. Hold up. She wasn't cheating at that point. Why was I working like that? Because she was still in college. She wanted to go to law school, and I didn't want her to have to work while she was in school. So we did that in order for me to maintain a certain type of lifestyle. I knew what I had to do. And even then, I still took time out to do the things that I needed to do for her. And she'll tell you that. My tell you.
Like Darren said, and unfortunately, because I see so many guys complaining about this same thing, how women don't want to help, they don't want to contribute, they just want to be spoiled and take care of. So y'all kind of got to put that on yourself a little bit on y'all decision making of who you choosing. Y'all keep choosing these chicks that just want to ride for free. Like y'all need to be a little bit more selective with.
We know everybody got representatives. I found that out. The problem is, it goes back to what y'all said. If I would have went back to that, then I need to look at it. I was given a representative of something, and she was able to maintain that representative role for a long enough time to where it changed when we got to a certain point. Right?
Tired, yeah.
And so when I got it, because listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Her brothers literally looked at me, was like, "Dog, I'm surprised you stayed with as long as you did." I was like, "Well, damn." I'm like, y'all my boys. I thought y'all would have said something. They said, yeah, we should have. You're a good dude, you know. And they said things to me, and that's the stuff. Hold on, D. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you come in, because this goes to what Cinnamon said. There are some realities, yes, that there are some of us out there in different relationships who don't do anything to be cheated on. Some people are going to do what is best for them, and damn what it feels and what it does to anybody else. The thing comes in is if we, just like Trina said, if we go back to that person, that's when we have to start. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. I knew what the hell you did the first time. If I come back to you and try to fix this shit again, and you do the same thing, then yes, I need to look in the mirror and be like, oh damn, well, what is it that Roy allowed it at that point? Because I accepted it in that behavior and took her back for whatever reason it was. See, that way gonna be me. Because like I said, the day she made that statement, I was like, yeah, we done. We good. I stayed with my ex for an additional 5 years simply because I refused to be a part-time father to my children in their toddler years. I refused to do it. And that's why I did it.
This is what I was gonna say, and I saw this post, and I won't question whether or not she loved you. But what I will question is, in the post I saw said something is, so we have to learn to differentiate between who loves us for our hand versus our heart. People can love you for what you can do for them, and we see that love as the same love. They don't love this; they love whatever you give them in their hand and that handout. And that's something that when I thought about it, that makes a lot of sense, because most of us can relate to that when we think about it in hindsight. She did love you, the handout you. Not Roy the person. I mean, that's my basic interpretation. And we confuse those loves because, as everybody has said, we love people. A lot of us love people what they can do for us. Do we still love them? It's nice when you got somebody who will take care of you. But as everybody here is pretty much stated, just because they can take care of you don't mean you want to be with them. But you love the fact that they taking care of you. But eventually, if they ain't doing nothing else, you're gonna step out. But you still love that hand that they gave you, just not the heart. And that's one of those things where discernment comes in, but you have to go through that to know when somebody loves what you're doing versus who you are. Because in Morgan's situation, the guy loved Morgan. Morgan gave him a place to stay. So yeah, he showed a genuine love. It wasn't a heartfelt love. It was a handfelt love. And these are the things that we adjust to. Trina loved the guy, or guy loved Trina because Trina gave him a place to stay. They don't want when you get ready to put them out, they'll fight to stay. They ain't gonna fight to stay in a relationship, but they're gonna fight to stay in where they live. And those are different types of love, but in our mindset, because we're enamored with them at the time, it appears to be heartfelt love, and it's not. So yeah, I mean that's just like I said. I saw that post and I was like, that would resonate with so many people who say, yeah, they love me, but is it true or your hand? But yeah, I mean, I see. Let's see. That's why what does Renee say? That's why it's important to know who you are, what you need, and what you will or will not tolerate. And unfortunately, that comes with time and experience and heartbreak.
Yeah.
Because we learn who we are. Trina stated she was different people with different dudes because they brought out different things of her. So how do you learn who you are when you're with somebody if everybody brings out a different portion of you? Trina is different from most of the girls I ever dated. I never saw this part of me. It's a process with us, learning how to do certain things with Trina that at 50 plus I've never done in my life. It's totally different. So there's a lot of things that are different when you get with different people because they bring out a different portion of you. Trina does things different with me. I'm older. I show her things that she never really considered. To me, I would say it's nothing important. But if she's never seen it before, Trina can rank it high. To me, it would be here, but I can't grade for her. But the point is that she brings something to the table to help me grow, as I'm bringing something to the table to help her grow. And if the only thing that she's making me growing me is my penis, the relationship is doomed. Because a lot of women can make my penis grow. That doesn't mean I'm gonna stay faithful to them. And that's kind of how this conversation goes. What is it that makes a man cheat? If you thinking sex ain't gonna do it, like Robert's saying, most guys who cheat are having sex. They're having sex in multiple places, so it ain't the sex. It ain't. I don't know many people who married
multiple times. Yeah.
You know, hell, I'm gonna stick to the fact that most of the time, except for people who got married when they were 18, the person you had the best sex with ain't the person that you with because they was crazy as hell. But you recognize the sex from the love. But shit, when people are crazy, yeah, they having all kind of sex on the highway, on buildings, upside down, and rules and shit. All that shit is exciting at the time. As you get older, you don't want all that. Right. What's love got to do with it? When we still talk about marriage, it's a business.
So far from none of these comments that I've seen, nobody is willing to be like, okay, I can admit that I have contributed to, it's just like, oh no, I did everything. But that's kind of what I got from most of the people that shared the post and I read the comments is I did everything right. I did this, I did that.
But see, Trina, I don't think most people are saying that. From my understanding, me and Cinnamon.
Oh yes, they have. They have said that. I've checked out the comments, Roy. I'm talking about like the people that shared.
Oh, you're talking about the actual post. I thought you were talking about hearing the thing. I was about to say, me and Cinnamon, the only two that said that we. that we didn't cause nobody to cheat, but even, you know what, and even to a certain extent, I will say, like I said, after a while, and that's my point. Just like Darren said, all of this is a process. That after a while, that I contribute to certain things. Yes, I did. Like I said, I stayed there 5-6 years longer than what I wanted to, but I had a reason for it. And at this point, I don't regret that in the least little bit because I have such an amazing relationship with my children. And I stayed where I did to build that relationship. So even when she tried to say other stuff negative towards me or negative about me to my kids, it wasn't going to stick. Because they could call me on the phone and talk to me.
And I never said that, Court. I never said that we are accountable for anybody else's actions or anybody else's cheating. I'm saying that we have to be accountable for our own actions that gave them whatever their reason. Their reason is their reason. Whether we feel is valid or not, their reason is their reason. What I'm saying is we have to be accountable for our own actions that provided them that reason. I'm not saying we're accountable for what they do. You can never be accountable for what somebody else does.
And let's use Roy for instance, Roy, because you're the man of the hour. By staying married, Roy, was it okay for her to go out and get a boyfriend?
Oh, hell to the no.
Okay, but you were holding her hostage. You didn't want to be there.
No. Hold up. Because here's what happened now, and this is the ironic part. She was the one who initiated our divorce. She was the one who said she wanted the divorce. I told her, okay, go file the paperwork. She never did it. I wasn't holding her hostage. She was the one. Not only did I stay for my children, I fought for my marriage. I did the things I was supposed to do to try to fight for my marriage. She was the one that initiated wanting a divorce, but she never would file the paperwork. After she made that last comment that I said, I was like, you know what? Damn that. I went to the courthouse and picked up the paperwork and brought it home and said, let's sit the hell down. We're going to start the process.
Okay, so it took one comment for you to take the paperwork when you knew she didn't want to be there. So at some point, Roy, if she didn't want to be there, and I get you wanting to fight, but if I want to fight but Trina don't want to be here, I'm still holding Trina hostage.
But D, how am I holding her hostage?
So can I. But why do I need to wait for Trina if I don't want to be here no more? And I know she don't want to be here.
D, if Trina says to you, D, I don't want to be here no more, and you still want to be in your marriage, but she's saying that you're not holding her hostage if she doesn't take. She's a grown ass woman. So first, let's deal with the first thing. There's a difference between now, because that shit won't fly no more with me. You heard me say it. I tell somebody in a heartbeat, you don't want to be, okay, bye. You ain't got to stay with me now. I have nothing tying me to nobody, no kind of way, no nothing. But if Trina wants to leave, if she tells you she wants to leave, but you don't go out and file a paperwork, and Trina doesn't do it, how are you holding her hostage? If she want to do it, if she really wants to do it, she need to go ahead and do it. That's on her. That's the whole point of what she's saying. That's on her, not you. That's her.
But why are you being somewhere with somebody who don't want to be with you? What do they got to do? They done told you. So why do you feel the need to stay around there and fight?
I told you why I stayed. I primarily stayed for my children because I did not want to be a part-time father. I didn't want to get to the point where I couldn't see I wanted to make sure I saw my kids when they went to bed and when they woke up in the morning. I wanted
hell is honey. She was here earlier.
So Roy, if she cheated, she said, I think she already cheated by that point anyway. But if she had carried on a relationship with somebody else while you were staying, the kids, would that have bothered you? It probably would have, because you were still fighting for the relationship.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I was fighting for the relationship. And here's the other thing. I always said the same thing to her. I said, as long as you tell me you want this marriage, I will continue to fight for it. Just like everybody said, with time and experience, Darren, you said it. The experience and the wisdom come from going. Some things you just have to go through. Again, yes, I did love this woman. So her telling me she really wants it, just like everybody said, okay, Trina, I did exactly what you said. What can I do to change this perception? What am I doing that I can do differently to make this? And it got to the point where I realized this shit didn't have nothing to do with what Roy was doing.
Yeah.
Listen, my ex-wife literally looked at me and said, divorcing you is going to be the biggest mistake I ever make. She literally looked at me and said that twice. After the divorce, she called me 3 times. Divorcing you was the biggest mistake I ever made. The third time, I lost all of my compassion. Was like, I told you that shit was going to happen anyway. I told you exactly what was going to happen with all these other people or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because at that point, I was done with it. I was like, I don't want to hear this shit no more. You know, don't come to me with that. So, Darren, it's a matter of dealing with it.
Well, I mean, I get it. I just wanted to get the explanation out, because remember, I said I stayed in my marriage. I even cheated because when I wanted the divorce, she told me that she wouldn't give me a divorce unless I cheated. So at that point, I was immature. I went out and cheated because I wanted the divorce. Because I just wanted to file the paperwork myself because I didn't want to be there. Even though she was willing to fight for the marriage, I had checked out of it emotionally, physically. Only thing I was doing was financially supporting what I financially supported the house. But I didn't want to be there. And cowardly, I took to the cheating route so I could get her to file the divorce paper.
You wanted to cheat.
Say it again?
You cheated because you wanted to cheat, because you could have just filed them papers.
But that's why I said I was immature, because at the time I didn't understand that concept. Because when I cheated, wasn't nobody. It took me a minute to find somebody because I just wasn't a cheater. I took marriage seriously, so I couldn't just go out and find. It took me a minute to even find somebody to cheat with. So it was like, and then as I matured, I realized everything I did was cowardly, and I was blaming the wrong person. It was me. I should have just filed the paperwork, but I was that typical black dude. Then I didn't want to deal with the court system, even though I was a cop. I still didn't want to deal with the court system. So that was my immaturity. As I grew older, I grew out of that, and that's why I make that disclaimer.
Yeah, and see, like you said, D, that's what it is. Sometimes it's experiences. That experience, believe me, has shaped my life.
Right, because, like I said, from this, I initially would have said she drove me to cheating because she wouldn't leave me unless I cheated. As truly a grown man now, that was a cowardly answer. But at the time, that was my answer. Yes, according to what Trina and Morgan asked about. Yes, how did she contribute to me cheating? Because she wouldn't divorce me unless I cheated. That was my fail-safe to blame off of me.
You laugh at that one, but goodness grief, really. Oh man.
Yeah, but I mean that was the way of taking the blame off.
But that's your reason, right? That's your reason,
right? Because I could put the blame on her, so I didn't have to man up. I could say it's her fault I cheated.
Right.
In retrospect, it was just me because I could have went another way. Yeah. But as we're saying, that's the growth portion,
right? And that's
now I would tell everybody just go ahead and leave. It's easier,
right? And that's my whole thing with it. It's like I said, that experience has shaped how I deal with relationships now. You know, I look at there's certain things that I need to find out from you. I need to understand. I tell women, listen, I'm working on my vision. I'm single now. Damn that. I don't need you to qualify me. I don't need you to verify me. If at 50,
hold on, bro, when I said you were single, you popped my hand.
What? No, you said something else. You said something other than me being single. You said some crazy shit. It wasn't just that. So, but you know, the thing about that, man, is that just like I said, like now when I deal with that situation in a relationship, I'll tell a woman a heartbeat. I'm focused on my vision because my kids are grown. All I got is me. I live a minimalist life. I don't need a whole lot of stuff. And so it's like, yo, don't come to me and talk about oh, well, I'm an independent woman. No, you're 50 years old. You an adult, damn it. If you got bills, you pay your own bills. Why are we having a discussion, date 3, about me paying your bills? Well, I'm like, we need to be having a discussion about what we can build. Now, if you come in what we can build together, oh, now that's a different situation. Because now you're already starting off in the sense to me that, okay, I want to build. And you see my page. Trina see my page. If you don't realize coming to me that I'm looking for somebody that I can build something with, don't even come this way.
Not to mention, you've already been through that before.
Right,
like, taking care of somebody. You don't want to do that again?
I'm not that I want to, Trina. I'm not.
Right.
I can now that I have the wisdom in that situation, I can spot that shit a mile away. And I'm not even trying to be bothered with it. I'm just like, you know what? Peace out. We not even gonna deal with this.
Let me read Bella's comment for a minute because she said something and it's got to be part of what this whole thing is about. Bella says everyone doesn't stick around for the same reason. Some stay due to kids, finances, nowhere to turn, thinking they can change them. So we can't look at what we won't put up with. The others will be the same way. So even in that context, for the woman who can't afford to leave, that she make it easier for her man to cheat just so she got a place to stay and she has a home. And let's just take Trina or Morgan. In their worst case, if you live with somebody and you didn't have the means to move out, would you put up with him cheating and even okay it so that you got a place to stay? Because who wants to be homeless? And you will put up with a little bit more until you can get on your feet.
Yeah, and then y'all might both be cheating. You know he cheating, you know you cheat. Y'all have some hookups every now and then, but rent paid.
Yep, that's right. By the time I said I didn't give a damn if he had a girlfriend or not. I didn't just pay your half and get rid of it.
Yours.
Because Roy and your and we want to use you, Roy, because you were fighting for your marriage, but in my other marriage, because of the way Georgia is, my last marriage, when she wouldn't give me a divorce, when she wanted to have this prolonged fight, technically I was cheating. Because I was married, but she wouldn't give me a divorce. So, was she a contributor to that? Was I supposed to stay celibate until I got the divorce? Ladies, what would y'all say to that? Trina,
to me, I mean, legally you were cheating, but like I said, per my definition, your cheating is going against the rules that you set forth in a relationship. At that point, y'all didn't even have any rules. Y'all didn't have a relationship. So, live your life.
Y'all was just winging it.
Right.
You was just winging it.
Oh, we had one. It was just a hateful one, but we had.
Was anybody abiding by the rules at that point? Everybody was cheating. You know, right. It was over.
Yeah, all the rules were broken at that point.
Oh,
you was stay and analyze life and do it the proper way.
You know, Georgia won't let you get one within 90 days because they want you to work on it before they'll grant you a divorce, even if both of y'all agree to it. Georgia won't still make you wait 90 days.
Did y'all do the year of separation?
Who are you talking about?
It took us.
Okay.
It took. I want to say it took me almost 18 months to get a divorce.
I'm glad we ain't had them
Like
issues in
that up
Florida.
here.
Nah, we ain't had that in Florida.
I'm with Renee. Why call it cheating when you're not in a relationship? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that wasn't cheating, and I'm not the traditionalist thinker, so it's going to be hard to get me on board with just leave, or thinking about another person just changes all these silly ass things that people come up with that's cheating, or what's a good reason, a bad reason to cheat. Look. Live your life, man. Look, live with no regrets. I know it sucks. People get hurt. That's just what it is. Maybe I'm a little callous and cold-hearted, but hey. Hey.
Well, see, that's...
All right. Well, it's 5 till to be witching hour. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start to wrap up. I'm gonna let everybody do an outro and tell what they got going.
First, because I gotta go.
You just taking over shit because you got a group. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're a drunk hooker don't mean you can run shit, Morgan. but go ahead, Morgan. Tell us who you are, how they can find you, and about your group.
So yeah, I'm on Facebook, Morgan Renee Myers. You see it on the screen. My group is called The Exchange. It's a podcast as well as a private group. We talk about similar topics concerning sex, relationships, and communicating. And I'm on Instagram as well at MOREMY. It's a red logo. I make clothes and I sell shit. So come see about me.
Yeah, she sells shit.
Sell shit. Thank y'all for having me on.
Thank you, Morgan. We're gonna do this again without your moonshine, and let you bring something for everybody.
Bye.
All right, so the always spicy Trina Marie, who coming back from her long hiatus. Tell us who you are, how to find you, and how not to get suspended by Mark Zuckerberg. Trina Marie.
So I'm Trina Marie, as most of you know. I'm the better half of DVP.
What?
I just started my new little venture. It's called Little Things by Kalia. I make custom glasses. I do like spa boxes. I got all kinds of stuff coming. I don't like to talk too much about what I got coming in the future. I like to just pat out and give it to you, But check me out, Little Things by Kalia on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, before you go away, why don't you grab that wine set behind you and just show them what you playing with. Show them what you playing with.
Don't look at my little booty.
Yeah, don't be looking at her booty. I'll block y'all.
All right, so I don't know if y'all. This is a set that I got. It's a wine set. You got the. I don't know if I need to get closer. I see that. The bling bling with the rhinestones. That's the head.
You bling my glass.
And then hers, and I got the bottle, the wine bottle. It's waiting for somebody's monogram, name, whatever. I got some corks coming. Got the little lighted things. This one don't work for some reason, but I got some decanters coming that I'll be personalizing and all that good stuff.
What's up, Neil? What's up, Tracy? That's what's up. So y'all need to check out Little Things by Khalil to see what she got going, and wait till y'all see what she gonna do for the other half. We got some stuff that you ain't even gonna be able to buy. Lyle, tell them what you got going and how to find you, sir.
What up, y'all? It's me, Makeup and More, aka the professor. Back to work, teaching barbering at the best hair school, Furious Styles Barber and Beauty Institute in Highland, Georgia. And hey, I'm staying in. I'm not doing no events right now. My Bonner Brothers got canceled. I'm just taking it easy, but check me out on Facebook or Instagram for any appointments, hair, barbering, makeup. I'm still there for you.
And we're gonna have some contests soon, so we're gonna give some makeovers. Yeah. I'm gonna even do some glass sponsoring for certain fans. Cool. So look at some of the stuff I'm promoting my fans. If you got a product that you want me to promote, it, send it to me. Let me look at it, and I'll give you something. Or if you want Roy to promote it on the network, get with him. He got deals for commercials. We got all kind of things going. We're going to be agents of change. We're going to have uncomfortable conversations. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do some education. We're going to do a little bit of everything. So Feel free to inbox us and tell us what you want to talk about, what you want to know about. Like I say, some shows are gonna be fun. The show that I'm gonna do about the cop stuff, some of them gonna be serious. We're gonna have a little bit of everything. All right. Roy, go ahead and give them something before I take them out. Tell them about my JBN and what we hashtagging for the 2020.
All right. Well, like I said, yeah, Roy, we president of the Jericho Broadcast Networks. The next 45 days are going to be very interesting. That's one of the things that we're going to say. So, we're letting folks know we've got advertising deals that actually can run you $480 for the entire year. That is 12 months worth of advertising. That package that we're selling for that amount for the year actually costs $150 per month. Once some things change, Dee knows about a little bit of what's getting ready to happen. We will officially relaunch the network no later than July 1, and when we do, it's going to be a very serious thing. We've got a lot of things. One of the hashtags that he's referring to that I use, and I use a lot, you can probably do a search for it on Facebook, and it'll pop up a whole bunch of stuff that I say. But we're going to change the world. It's hashtag change the world, and we are going to make sure that all of these things that are happening and that have been happening in our community are not going to continue to happen. We've actually got a plan that encompasses multiple aspects, and we're gonna be out there. So if you want to get on the train, get on now. The price is much lower than what it's going to be in the next 60 days, because it's going to be a change. And when we hit with what we're going to do, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, but we're here to make some serious impact on our community.
So we're gonna die trying. All right. I'm DVP. I'm the host of the show. We do this every Wednesday from 6 to 8ish. And then we do special shows. As Roy said, we have to make some changes. We're gonna make a difference in the world. So if it means I got to give up some of my time to do some special shows, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be building Black love relationships. We're gonna do a lot of good things. So I can't tell you what's gonna come every week, because the only thing that's gonna be consistent is we will be consistent, but the topics won't be. But they will be either educational, informative, or we're gonna have a little fun. But we still gonna teach you something. We're gonna give you some insight. So I just want to say, on that note of letting go, before we go, I just want you guys to know again, while we're being upset and angry about everything, let's start calling the name of our oppressors. I'm cool with us celebrating the dead, but we gotta stop letting people who harm us get away without ever saying their name. Those names need to be shouted to the top of the mountaintop, so when we run across them, we know them again. We gotta do this. Whether it's clergy, whether it's councilmen, whether it's elected officials, whether it's killers of unarmed people, we have got to start unified in that respect. Let everybody know who these people are. Don't just call out the names of the dead. Call out the names of the people who caused the death, so that we can fight against them. We can see that struggle, and then we can start seeing some positive results. I want to thank my guests, even the sleepy Trina Marie. She just yawned her little ass off from drinking all that wine. I want to thank y'all for coming and being insightful and trauma causing. I see Mark Zuckerberg is inboxing me right now, so I'm gonna act like I'm not having the show.
You in trouble already.
Yeah, I'm getting an email from Facebook right now. So until next week, y'all know what it is. Peace, popcorn, and chicken grease, and we out.
All right, y'all.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate.